Hi, this is Ajay Anand and welcome to Social Science classes from excelup.com. In this video, you will be learning about gender, religion and caste. You will learn about the gender stereotypes. You will learn about women's political representation. Then you will learn about communalism and about secular state. And in the last section, you will learn about the caste prejudice, role of caste in politics, and about caste inequality. So let us start with the gender stereotypes. In this figure, I have depicted a famous story, the story of Rapunzel. So here is Rapunzel, and she has pulled down her hairs through the watchtower. There is a dragon which is guarding the watchtower, and here is the prince. The prince has come to rescue the princess. So in most of the stories, you will hear about a damsel in distress who needs to be rescued by a knight in shining armor. Have you heard a story in which there may be a prince or a man in distress and a woman, she comes to rescue the man? The answer would be no. And all these stories, they strengthen the gender stereotypes. So what are gender stereotypes? There are predefined roles for men and women in the society. So we think that cooking or mopping the floor or sweeping, washing the clothes, all of these are jobs for women. A woman is meant to do all the household chores. On the other hand, men, they need to take the responsibility of bringing bread and bacon to the house. Or a man has to go out, he has to fool around outside the house, and he need not do the household cleaning. Whenever we select toys for children, then also most of the people, they keep gender stereotypes in mind. So a kitchen set, it would be invariably purchased for girl, and a bat and ball will be purchased for boys. Okay, so these are the gender stereotypes. No, we cannot blame a single person for such stereotypes because they have been made over thousands of years of history. So what is the end result of these prejudices against women? This data, this shows the percentage of men and women who are literate in India. So this data has been taken from 2001 census. So the literacy level among men is 76% and literacy level among women is just 54%. So there is a huge gap. There is a poor representation of women at workplaces, and even though many women they can be seen working at corporate offices, they usually get a lower wage compared to men for the same role. Cases of domestic violence, that is continuing. School dropout rate is higher among girls, because what happens in many households, people, they want to invest their resources on the future of a male child, on the boy, and they usually force the girl to drop out from the school, and they try to end the marriage of the girl before even she becomes an adult. Then there are cases of female infanticide, because many people, they prefer a male child over a girl child. So in order to ensure a male child, what they do, they resort to female infanticide. So the girl child is killed even before her birth, and this is the scene is very bad, especially in so-called developed states like Punjab, Haryana, Gujarat. Okay, but the scene is somewhat good in Bihar, and it is very good in Kerala. Okay, now let us see what is the women's representation in politics. We can say it is poor, but the results of 2019 Lok Sabha elections, they were surprised, and they were happy surprise, because in 2019 Lok Sabha, the percentage of women MPs, that is members of parliament, is 14%, and it is highest till now compared to previous Lok Sabhas. But the sad fact is that about half of the constituencies all over India, that is around 48.4%, has never elected a woman member of parliament. And this data has been taken from Election Commission, and this was compiled by the newspaper called The Hindu. Some initiatives have been taken to improve women's representation in politics, and apart from such initiative, 1/3 of the seats are reserved for elections to local bodies like panchayats and municipalities. But till now, the bill for reservation of women in Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha, it is hanging somewhere. None of the political parties has the courage to bring this bill or to support this bill. Okay, so maybe in future we'll see better representation of women in politics. Now let us talk about religion. India is a multi-religious society. This pie chart, it shows the religious composition of Indian population. So 80% of the population is composed of Hindus, 13% are Muslims, 2% are Christians, around 2% are Sikhs, and rest 2% is composed of others like Jains, Buddhists, Parsis, etc. So this shows that Hindus, they are in majority in India, rather they are in brute majority in India. So there is always a risk of communal politics. So what is communalism? Communalism is a phenomenon when a political class pits one religion against another. This is done by people who think that their religion is superior to others' religion, and they want to have some sort of exclusive view on the society or on the nation. They want exclusive control on all the resources, and they want to put down people from other religion. The worst side effect of communalism can be in the form of communal riots, in which innocent people, they are killed, especially people from the minority communities. They are murdered, they are killed, and they suffer for a long time to come. Thankfully, the constitution makers of India made India a secular state. Okay, so there is no official religion in India, but Indian government allows selective state intervention in religious matters. So if in case there is a risk of communal violence because of religious issues, the state government has the right to interfere in that matter. Then if the government feels that some of the religious group, it is not advancing socially or economically, then also the government intervenes in terms of providing aid and providing other support, so that the cultural and religious identity of particular community, it can be it can be protected, and it can be promoted. Okay. Caste. Caste is a unique phenomenon to India. So what initially started as the Varna Vyavastha gradually progressed into the caste system. So right now there can be thousands of castes in India, and a person born in a particular caste has to die in that caste only. So if a person is born as a Dalit, he will have to die as a Dalit. So broadly speaking, there are three groups. One is called the forward castes, then there are backward castes, and there are Dalits or scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. This graph, it shows the percentage of people below poverty line, and the data has been taken from NSSO, that is National Sample Survey Organization, 1999-2000. The green color shows the rural population and orange color shows the urban population. This is ST, scheduled tribe, scheduled castes, other backward classes, Muslim upper castes, Hindu upper castes. So you can see that the percentage of people below poverty line is highest for STs and SCs. It is around 47% for STs in rural population. Even in urban areas, it is around 40% for both SCs and STs. For OBCs, it is somewhat less, around 30-32% for OBCs. For Muslim upper caste in rural areas, the percentage is less than 30, but in urban areas, it is around 40. And let us see what is the scene in case of Hindu upper caste. So for them, it is around 10% in both rural and urban areas. It is a little bit higher than 10% in rural areas and somewhat less than 10% in urban areas. So this shows that Hindu upper caste, they enjoy a better position in terms of socio-economic development. And this has happened because historically, the people from upper caste, they had better access to resources and education, and that is why they could progress socio-economically throughout the period. On the other hand, these guys, they did not have access to resources, not to even education, and that is why they lagged behind. But now the government has taken many assertive actions so that these people, they can be pulled up from below the poverty line so that they can move up to above the poverty line. Now, what is the role of caste in politics? Caste is a very important factor in elections. So caste influences politics and politics influences caste. Okay, so let us see how it happens. Whenever it comes to the selection of candidates for election, most of the political parties, they keep in mind the caste calculation of a particular constituency. So if a particular caste is in majority in population in a constituency, then chances are that most of the political parties, they will field the candidate from that particular caste. So that is how caste influences politics. Politics also influences caste because suppose there are 4 castes, A, B, C and D, and the caste A is predominant in a particular constituency or in a particular state. So what happens, people from castes B, C and D, they will feel left behind. So in order to give a tough competition to caste A, people from caste B, C and D, they make their own coalition. So that is how caste equation keeps on evolving. Okay. But now the caste lines, they are getting blurred in cities. So what happens, many people from rural areas, they migrate to big cities in search of better opportunities and livelihood. In cities, they do different types of jobs, and such tasks, they are not guided by the caste affiliations. So what happens, we seldom think about caste when living in big cities or in bigger urban centers. So for example, if you are having dinner in Delhi in a restaurant, you may not be aware about the caste of a person who is sitting across your table. Okay, and you may not even bother to ask about his caste because that hardly matters in the new setup. Okay, so because of education and because of better opportunities in big cities, people are moving out, and such equations, they are getting changed, but still we have a long way to go. So I talked about gender stereotypes, women's role in politics, women's representation in politics. Then I talked about the religious composition of Indian population, and then I talked about the caste and how different castes, they have been left out of social economic development, and what is the role of caste in politics. That's all for this lesson. Thank you.